Big City says, "Smart man, Marcellus, shout out to you." Yeah, there's going to be a lot of money to be made for people sorting the market, and that's what I really want to talk about because you guys know I'm all about the crypto, I'm all about the stocks, I'm all about trading. It definitely sucks what's going on with the conflict. It sucks that we got kids dying. We got just crazy stuff going on. It sucks. But I'm not gonna lie, this is a huge opportunity to make a lot of money. Now, I can't say whether or not that's moral or wrong, but oil stocks are gonna go up. They're pausing all like oil movements in the Middle East. This is a really big deal. It's gonna send the price of gasoline up in the US. The gas stocks like Marathon, all of those, even the big oil rig companies, like prices of oil is gonna go up. Monday when the market opens, it's gonna cause a huge rally inside of some of those sectors. But we're going to see the overall stock market dumping from this. This is not a good thing. This is not a good thing. So it is for the people, that want to make some money, but for the people that are dying is not a good thing. But yeah, let's start going over things. So initially when this happened, we actually noticed that the price of Bitcoin dumped. So when this happened, the price of Bitcoin, it didn't actually not initially dumped, but it kind of pumps. Initially pumps, not dumps. Sorry. It initially pumped off of, a bunch of this stuff happening, but that's because it happened over the weekend. It didn't happen when the stock market was going crazy, right? It didn't happen when the stock market was live Monday through Friday. It didn't happen then. It happened over the weekend. That is the most important thing to this. You haven't seen a major dump in the market yet because we haven't seen the market open yet. Watch when the stock market opens. You have Bitcoin treasury companies like MicroStrategy that is going to react to this. Bitcoin is going to react to the SPY and the NASDAQ dumping. It's going to react to all these different things dumping. Now, you might see other things going up, right? Because as I've showed you before, the Iranian currency has currently dumped, right? The Iranian currency dumped. So their money is worthless. If it's worth less than toilet paper, Iran's currency is officially worth less than toilet paper. In other words, it's now cheaper to wipe your ass with their currency than with actual toilet paper. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. That's completely crazy. That's completely crazy. So let's read this right here. It says the currency depreciated sharply on the eve of Operation Roaring Lion. If people don't know what Operation Roaring Lion is, it's literally where the US killed their leader. Just like the US went and took Maduro, the Venezuelan president, they then went and killed the leader of Iran. And not only have they killed the leader of Iran, we also killed a Mexican drug cartel lord, which is causing a war and inner war inside of Mexico. So we're having Mexico, having a war within itself because of what we did. But I mean, he's a drug cartel lord, so we might have done them a favor, maybe, but it's causing uproar there, and now it's even worse off for them. So we kind of did not do them a favor. But this guy right here, this is who has just now been killed. He is the former president. Now he's the former. He was the supreme leader. He was the supreme leader of Iran, and he was killed 2 days ago by the US under Israel orders, because Israel pretty much said, if you guys don't kill this guy, or if you guys don't attack them and kill this guy, we are going to do it, but we are going to do it with nuclear weapons. So Israel was going to do all of this with nuclear weapons if we didn't step in. And what that pretty much means is Israel would have leveled the whole Middle East. They would have leveled all of them out and took them all out. And then they would have retaliated and took everybody else. The whole world would be, exploding right now. And that's how they threaten the U.S. They're like, look, you don't do this, we getting all of them out of here, right? We killing all of them. That's pretty much how Israel did it. And so the U.S. just kind of was like, you know what, let's just take this guy out for them. and that happened. But he's the supreme leader of Iran, so this is a big deal. They're not gonna let this go. They're not gonna drop it. This guy was loved by a lot of people out inside of Iran. So this guy, he was actually fighting for Iran not to use nuclear weapons on their enemies. This guy was the one telling them, don't use nuclear weapons on our enemies. And they killed him. What do you think Iran is going to start doing now after you killed the guy that was screaming for peace in Iran? You're going to get a bunch of people dying through nuclear weapons. So this is going to be crazy for a lot of reasons. The stock market is going to take a hit. The crypto market is going to end up taking a hit as well. Everything's going to take a hit from this, right? This isn't going to just blow over in a day. All right, it's not going to be like the Maduro situation where we took their president and now we don't hear anything about that, right? That literally disappeared inside of the news. Like no one talks about the Venezuelan president getting kidnapped anymore, right? We don't talk about that. So this, I don't think this is going to go over in a day. I think it's going to be ending up like the Gaza situation where this is going to be prolonged over years. This is going to result in a lot of death, but it's also going to result in a lot of money making. And that's kind of the side of things I'm here to talk about, right? I'm here to talk about the money that you can make off of this. Now, whether it's right or wrong, again, that's not for me to judge or you to judge, right? That's going to be for God to judge. But I'm going to show you guys what I'm going to be doing inside of these times to make that money. All right. So first of all, we've already kind of covered like what's going on, what these people are doing. I want to go over the market really quick. Right. So we have Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin currently right now, this is called you can call it a symmetrical triangle, a bearish symmetrical triangle, right? Because it's going down. It went into the symmetrical triangle from a downtrend. So where does it go next? It typically goes downwards. It typically continues on a downtrend since it came into that bearish symmetrical triangle on a downtrend. Not only is it in a bearish symmetrical triangle, we can also consider this a bear pennant. This is what most people will call it. Most people will call this a bearish pennant. This is definitely a bearish pennant. All right. So this right here is going to be a pretty big drop if we continue to have the war going on. How do you benefit off of Bitcoin dropping? Well, you can short it, right? I don't like shorting because most of the times you're using leverage when you're shorting, but you can short it without leverage, right? But you can still get liquidated. You have risk. Me, when I'm shorting, I prefer to do options, right? I prefer to do stock options, and I prefer to do it in MicroStrategy. So this here is a MicroStrategy. Let me get all this BS off. This here is MicroStrategy. And the beautiful thing about this is that MicroStrategy, if you just kept shorting it and shorting it and shorting it since October, you would be super rich. All right, and I've been shorting it and shorting it and shorting it since October. I'm not going to say I'm super rich, but I have made money shorting this thing. MicroStrategy is also within a bearish pennant, right? What did I say before? Bearish pennants, bearish patterns. This is going to be the opportunity of a lifetime to make money. And it's going to keep coming. I'm not going to say this is the only opportunity. These opportunities are going to keep coming. We're going to keep having wars. We're going to keep having things that cause the market to crash. And we're going to keep having things that cause the market to pump. Now, if there's like a random peace treaty made between now and Monday, like now in the open of the market tomorrow at 9:30 a.m., if there's like a peace treaty, we're going to have a massive rally, right? Things are just going to go up. But if we don't have some type of peace treaty or some type of secondary, like some type of win, right? Like we would have to see like some type of win. I don't know how anyone can win in this situation. No one wins in war. So I don't know how we could ever win on that, right? But if we somehow had something like some type of good news released, that could be good for the markets. If we had good news released, and you're probably wondering, what are these little white lines here? I day trade, right? I day trade MicroStrategy. And what I do is I use what I call micro support and micro resistance areas where we typically get rejected at, right? We hit resistance twice there. We hit support here. I mean, it's this is just how I like to trade. You know, you don't have to follow how I do it, but you know, it's just a strategy I use. But that's besides the point. I don't trade live anyway, so I don't know how you guys would be able to benefit off of that, because I don't like trading live, because then I can't really be locked in. All right. But if you're trading MicroStrategy puts, we're probably going to open into tomorrow at a low price unless we don't dump for some reason going in tomorrow on Bitcoin. Because remember, when this happened, we were actually about to break the bearish pennant on Bitcoin. So if you go over here and you look at the 4-hour chart, we were on the edge of breaking the bearish pennant on Bitcoin. But the reason it didn't break is because the supreme leader of Iran was assassinated by the US on Israeli orders. You got to mention that part, because, you know, I'm American. I don't want nobody to look at me like I'm a terrorist or something. Like, hey, it's the United States of Israel at this point, right? We live in the United States of Israel. Sorry. You know, it's not our fault. You know, we're just gonna point it at them. We're gonna be like, it was them. All right. That's what we gotta do. We gotta protect ourselves. Brick City says $300 every 2 weeks. What do you invest in? I got XRP, Sol, and Doge. It's a good question. But me personally, I'm not investing in any crypto, because between now and the end of the year, the crypto market is going to continue to dump. See, we are always in these 4-year cycles with crypto. And right now is the bear cycle, right? We have been in a bull market since January 1st, 2023. On that day of January 1st, 2023, we entered the bull market. If you scroll in all the way over here to January 1st, 2023, you can see that is when this initial green candlestick happened at that support down there at 15K. And then we started to rally. Also, the %R trend exhaustion gave us that buy signal down there. And this is a free indicator on TradingView if you guys want to look up %R trend exhaustion. But me personally, I would not be looking to invest at these times. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. None of this is financial advice. But me personally, these are not the times I'm looking to get in long term on anything. I mean, that would have been January 1st, 2023. And you can see the same thing happened back inside of 2021 going into 2022. We had the same trend line get broken. So let me show you what we're looking at right here, right? We're looking at the same trend line here, and all these white lines is going to drive me crazy. All right, they're going to drive me crazy. I'm going to have to take them off for a minute. But we have the same thing here. If you look at this trend line in Bitcoin, this trend line in Bitcoin has literally been going and going and going since January 1st, 2023, right? We're completely maxed out on this cycle. All right, we've reached our top, and our top was signified by a bullish double bottom, right? Bearish double bottom, bearish double top. What am I saying? Bearish double top. Bearish double tops are bearish signals, as it is inside of the name. Boom, 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 boom. We do this every single time we have a major dump. Back here, this wasn't a major dump, but it was a pullback. Boom, 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 boom. And then if you look at the back here, 2021, 22, still the same thing. Bearish double top. You come all the way back here. If I go on like the 4-hour chart, you'll probably end up seeing it. But this one is still the bearish double top. Boom, 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 boom. We always see those bearish double tops at the end of our markets. And then we have this pullback. And again, this is back in 2017, 2018, and it was still happening the same exact way, the same trend lines. When we go below the trend line, we come up here and we try to break past it, and we get rejected, and we continue down. And when we just stay down for the rest of the year, right? The same exact thing happened in 2022 in that bear market. We went below the trend line. As you can see here, we respected the trend line for the longest time. And then we went below the trend line, came back, tried to break above it, couldn't, rejected, stayed down for the year. Same thing stands true. Look, all of 2022, bearish. All of 2022, we were screwed. The second January 1st, 2023 came, we're back on the bull market. It happens every single time like this. This time, we broke down, we tried to get back above it, that trend line, and now we're continuing downwards. So now when you look at this, you might say, hey,
This time might be different. Yeah, it might be different. The difference could be this. The difference could be maybe we have a relief rally and then we get rejected again at 106K right at that, or 108K right at that trend line, and we continue downwards. That could be the difference, right? But it's still negative because it's still going to continue to dump. And I don't think it's going to happen like that. I think it's going to go down to 50K, relief rally back up to like 70K, trickle down a little bit more for the year. And then by January 1st, 2027, we'll probably start, pumping, right? Because you can see right here, we had a bull flag here. Then we had a falling wedge here. And you can see the falling wedge is bullish. Bull flag is the opposite of the bear flag, and it's bullish. And then you can see this is a bearish expanding triangle, which confirmed the this right here, this bearish expanding triangle confirmed our bear market. We had that bearish expanding triangle. As soon as we broke down it confirmed it, and then us getting rejected at that trend line, that confirmed it even more. And right here, bearish expanding triangles are super bearish, super duper bearish. All right, so that's why I'm saying I'm not investing in any crypto. I'm not trying to hold nothing long term until 2027, January 1st, 2027, whatever the price is, I'm hopping in. All right, that's pretty much what I'm looking at. So shout out to Brick City for that question there. But yeah, I would be looking towards some short term stuff, like shorting. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. So when we break below this bearish pennant right here, I'm looking for us to go to 50K. I'm looking for a drop to 50K, possible relief rally back to 69K. If it doesn't happen like that, then we may keep going lower. Now, if we do keep going lower, the real question is how much lower and where would we stop? That's exactly what we want to look at now. So if we continue downwards, let me go ahead and bring the daily chart. I'm gonna have to look at this closer here. Okay, so we have 50K right here. 50K was the bottom right below this bull flag, and it hit 50K right there, and that marked the bottom towards the next uptrend there back in 2024. If you look over here, we have another level right there. Oh wow, actually I gotta get those white lines back, so I'm gonna like spam Control Z until we get back to those white lines, because those are my day trading lines. I need those lines for Monday, because I don't want to go through and look for all the same levels, and I already have all the levels, so I really don't even have to look for the other one. And look, these are the lines that I use to trade all the time. So 40K, if we go below 50K, we're going to 40K next, because the bottom right there. So we would be going towards 40K next after that. And then after that, you can see when we started the bull market inside 2023, 29K, well, 28K, 29K, that was major resistance. And it was major support back in 2021 when we had the bearish double top. When we crashed and we came all the way back down, when we went from 65K all the way back down, we went down to 28K. And that was also very significant back here, January 2021. That was also very significant right here. We had a little bit of confluence here in 2022 as we continue downwards. So those are primarily the levels you want to watch for Bitcoin going in towards the end of the year. So yeah, we're going to have a very, very interesting time here. Now, if I pull up the daily chart here on Bitcoin, if you look at the %R trend exhaustion, the short-term trend is breaking out far past the long-term trend. And when this happens, oh yeah, and by the way, %R trend exhaustion, the blue line down here is the long-term trend. The white line is the short-term trend. Where you see the white line, the short-term trend breaking far past the long-term trend, then the short-term trend has to crash and come back down, and it's going to bring the price down with it, right? You want the long-term trend to follow that short-term trend upwards, right? You want a bullish long-term, right? Whenever you see it red up here like this is bullish long-term trend. Whenever you see it up there, that's bullish long-term trend. You do not want to see the blue line all the way down here. This happens during bear markets, and we've seen it back here during 2022. The short-term trend kept exceeding the long-term trend, and the long-term trend just stayed bearish until it was ready to finally break out. And you can see it the whole time here. The short-term trend keeps breaking out but the long-term trend is staying bearish. And then eventually the long-term trend does what? January 1st, 2023, it crosses, gives this buy signal, breaks out. All these buy signals over here, false buy signals. They're all false signals. This one was the only true one because look, as it crossed here, and it crossed here multiple times, right? It crossed multiple times, but you just gotta be lucky, right? You just gotta be lucky and know when it's gonna happen. And typically it's gonna be January 1st of the next year. This one was January 1st of 2023. And then the other ones, I mean, I don't know if it was exactly January 1st for the other ones, but you know, it is what it is. Now we seen, let's see over here. Yeah, January, around January, it starts going up. 2015 going into 2016. If you come back here, around this time, I guess you could say January 2020, it starts pumping like crazy. So yeah, January is usually that time where we're going to see the start of the bull market. So January 2027, I'm not looking to buy anything long term until January 2027. So that's how I'm looking at it. Now the MACD, we're seeing a lot of selling pressure. So I would not be surprised if this continues for even longer. So yeah, that is pretty interesting. Bitcoin to 25K
continues for even
if
longer.
the war is 3 months. So let's I guess that's a good take. Me personally, I kind of have the bottom of Bitcoin marked at like 30K / 28, 30K. But I mean, it's close to what you were saying. So yeah, you're pretty much close to where I think it's going to go. I think it's going to go down to 30K. Maybe it doesn't happen in like 3 months. I have a feeling we'll have some sideways trading moments for a long time. So we'll see a lot of sideways trading movement. So that's kind of how I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this extending until January 1st, 2027. Canton, ADI, Kite, Hype. So we'll go over those in a little while, but I want to stay on topic here. So we've talked about Bitcoin. So I want to go back to the topic of Iran getting completely messed up by everybody. Not even everybody, Israel and America. That's pretty much what it is. But yeah, the Iran's currency is literally worthless now. Like retaliation with drones and missiles. It says black market rates reached 1.66 million rials per dollar by March 1st, sparking online buzz with TradingView charts rounding the real's dollar value to zero. Claims total collapse. So their currency is completely worthless, right? Completely worthless. And look, the world of statistics, it says the US dollar to the Iranian rial, it says $1 to 7,900 of their currency in 2002. And then you skip all the way down to 2010 and it says $1. It doesn't even show their currency because their currency is no more at this point. Well, actually, yeah, it does actually show it. And it just goes up to the millions in 2026, 1.3 million plus. So $1 gets 1.3 million plus of their currency, which is why stuff like gold might actually start going up because they're going to have to put their money somewhere. So you're going to start seeing like stuff like gold. I mean, that's part of the reason why Bitcoin had such a major pump recently. Like people are speculating. They're like, look, they're going to have to put their money somewhere. But we see this. The US government sees this. I feel like this is a play for them to try to artificially pump markets like Bitcoin so they can dump and pay off the 39 trillion debt of US debt. I feel like they're really using this to like play on that. Iran puts their money into like Bitcoin and stuff like that because, you know, they're sanctioned. They're putting sanctions on them. Like they can't trade. All their money is like worthless. So what are they going to do? They got to put it in gold. They got to put it in Bitcoin and stuff. If the US sees that they're doing this, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to start dumping on them. The US owns a lot of Bitcoin. So what would you see? You would see them starting to dump. This is when everything happened. And now you're seeing pullbacks. I'm pretty sure we probably have some US dumping here, right? Using that money to either pay off the 39 trillion in debt or using that money to pay off the Israelis or just stashing that money inside a politician's pockets. So that is how it happens. That's how it happens. But yeah, we will go over all those 3 coins for you. Don't worry. We're going to be covering a good amount of stuff. So yeah, do not worry. So we talked about that. Israel and U.S. strike inside of Tehran, which is Iran's capital. This is really sad what's going on. I just now heard some dogs out there fighting. That distracted me completely. I just now heard some. But yeah, it says the regime in Iran has now confessed that the IRGC mistakenly bombed an Iranian school yesterday, killing millions of children. I think it was an all-girls school. It says to all the legacy media and pro-regime influencers who peddled your fake news, retract and delete. So I guess she's mad. She's like a Iranian pro person. But yeah, this is definitely something to be mad about. I mean, it's kind of crazy. Like, you're bombing school full of kids. Like, at this point, it's got to stop. Iran launches 4 ballistic missiles at the U.S. aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln. So all of the U.S. Air Force people, the U.S. Navy people, the Marines, like, they're getting killed. All the U.S. Army bases inside of like all these different areas are getting bombed as well. Like, look at this, U.S. air bases bombed. So, or not even air bases, like U.S. bases in general. But this is crazy. What U.S. bases did Iran target? They're targeting a lot. They're targeting a lot of U.S. bases right now. So, as you can see right here, continue to cite. Get off. No American service members were killed or wounded in a wave of attacks Iran launched at U.S. bases across the Middle East in retaliation for the U.S.-Israeli missile strikes on the country on February 28th. They successfully defended against hundreds of Iranian missiles and drones. And let's see, there are between 30,000 and 40,000 U.S. troops in the region on any given day. That's a lot of Americans out there, 30,000 to 40,000 across all of them in the Middle East on any given day. So a U.S. service center for the U.S. Navy's 5th Fleet, which is headquartered in Bahrain, was attacked with missiles, according to country's communication center. So I read something saying that there's 5 so far, 5 U.S. Army people. Well, not even, I don't even know if it's just Army, but U.S. military in general that have been killed. So they're literally dismantling all the U.S. bases abroad. Dubai, they bombed one of the United Arabs airports at Dubai. They are bombing Qatar, and when I say they, I mean Iran. Like, Iran is like, all right, if we can't get to Israel because of their Iron Dome, and we can't get to United States because they're way too far away from us, we're just gonna go attack their partners. We're partners with Qatar. We're partners with the UAE. And there's other places like all over the Middle East. We have people that we're actually friends with. And I think Saudi Arabia might be one of them too. So they're starting to attack all these other countries because they can't get to us. So this is bad. This is bad. This is gonna get worse and worse and worse. We now know 3 United States soldiers were killed. Yeah, that is definitely terrible. Like 3 of them so far. Let's see. I actually read somewhere that it was 3 or 5. I thought it was 5, but yeah, I'll have to see. Let's see. 3 U.S. soldiers have been killed in action, and 5 are seriously wounded after Iranian attacks throughout the Middle East. That is crazy. At least 9 people have been killed in an Iranian missile attack on the Israeli town of Beit Shemesh. So now they're also attacking Israel because they know that Israel pretty much was inside the U.S., pretty much interfering with the U.S. And the whole thing with Israel and U.S., like they kind of own the U.S. Like, let's be honest, they kind of like have the U.S. on like in like a chokehold. Like they fund a lot of our politicians, and they probably funded to get Trump into office. I mean, Obama did so much for them as well. So I mean, U.S. and Israel are big partners. So I guess when your partners want to go to war with someone, I guess you gotta retaliate and go to war with them. and that's kind of what's going on here. But yeah, this city right here, Bet Shemesh by Jerusalem, they're targeting that. And I think if they target Tel Aviv, that's when things are going to get real. I think they already are targeting Tel Aviv, actually. Tel Aviv bombed. Let's see. Because Tel Aviv is their main capital. But it's like with Israel, like it's hard to find the news for them, you know, with all their bombings because they don't want the stuff to be seen. I was watching Myron Gaines. I was watching on here on Kick, and he was covering this whole thing. And he was talking about how they're like literally blocking Israeli people from talking about this because they don't want people to know how like messed up they're getting. Like they're really getting bombed and we're really getting messed up, but they don't want to reveal that they are. So then the Israelis don't know if what they're doing is working. But yeah, woman killed, dozens injured, and this is directly from the Times of Israel, so it's accurate. It says woman killed, dozens injured as Iranian missile strikes Tel Aviv residential block. So Iran is going after oh yeah, I can't show that. Well, actually we're on Kick, but still I don't want to show like kids with dismembered body parts. That's actually crazy. That's very crazy actually. 25 who did sustained light injuries, 27 others were injured. A woman died. There's a woman who was a caregiver who's also inside of critical conditions along with the children that she was protecting. So yeah, this is absolutely crazy. And this is only going to get worse. But let's get to some of the crypto stuff again. Let's cover some of the financial aspects of this. You know, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, it does suck. And I definitely would rather it not happen. But since it is happening, we kind of got to make some money off of it, right? We kind of got to make some money. And it just feels weird saying that because it's, you know, but we have no power over anything that's happening. We have no power over it. The only thing we have power over is how we can make money in the markets. That sounds terrible. But yeah, it sounds absolutely terrible. We have power over the money that we can make. Absolutely terrible. I don't know how to say this inside of a good way. Now we know 3 United States soldiers were killed. Oh yeah, I read that. You have to watch Al Jazeera channel on YouTube. They are there from the Arabs' perspective. Yeah, I seen them. So they're putting out the truth from the Arabs' perspective, and then Israel is putting out their truth on the one that we were just looking at. So yeah, this is Al Jazeera. So they're pretty much talking about everything, and they wanna focus on the attack that the U.S. and Israel are doing onto them, but they also want to focus on what they're doing back to the U.S. Right? This is crazy because when you go to Israel's publishers and their news outlets, they're only focused on the attacks that are kind of happening to them, but they're not really focused on what they're doing back to them. Which, you know, you call it what you want, but I guess it's their strategical move to look more of the like as a victim. But you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's war at this point. It's war.